Welcome back to the fastest hour in radio, Speed City.
A huge week in Formula One, and I want to start with the story. Niels Wittich stepping down as the FIA race director with 3 races to go at the end of the season. I mean, at first glance, you're like, whoa, what has happened? Is there some seismic event for him to retire? Because it says, he said he's stepping away. The headline did, but he's saying the opposite, isn't he?
Yeah, this is my fellow countryman Shakespeare's sort of land, which is something's rotten in the state of Denmark. There's no question. There's definitely something weird going on, and I think it's all around Ben Suleiman. I really do. I think his days are numbered, and there's been no. I got a story in there as well saying I did not quit. I was not far. Yeah. He wants to clear the air, and it's really quite interesting.
He says, "I have not resigned."
Yeah.
He told more than one outlet. I know that the one that I saw was motorsportmagazine.com, and I have not resigned, but the official word says that he wants to step away, and I'm like, what was it? He said Niels Wittich is stepping down from position as F1 race director to pursue new opportunities, the FIA said. And Chris and I were talking about it on Wheel to Wheel this week, and I was like, this sounds like the old I'm going to spend time with my family one, because the cliches. And I don't know what's going on, but you're saying you think it might be a clash between him and the FIA president?
Yeah, when I've got a quote here from Joe Sayed and GrandPrix.com. From Sky Sports, Craig Slater, who is quoted here saying, when asked if he willingly stepped down, the 52-year-old Wittich told a website, "I have not resigned."
Yeah, that's the same exact quote. I have not resigned. That seems pretty clear, right?
Yeah, and like you say, with 3 races to go, it's a story that never needed to come out in the press. It never needed to happen. And it was like, listen, you are officially fired, but you finish out your tenure of the last 3 races.
No, but that's not what's happening.
I know.
Oh,
but
okay,
I'm saying that would be...
Yes, that would be
if you didn't want to court controversy and headlines, that's what you would do. Now, as it turns out, ironically, the guy who is race directing the Macau Grand Prix this weekend will be doing Vegas and the last 2. So
that's pretty crazy.
Portuguese driver.
And he's also
Portuguese director.
Well, he's been in doing Formula 2 and Formula 3.
So, yeah.
But which just makes sense for him to be at Macau.
When you look at the Formula 1 grid, pretty much what we got.
That's true. But, man, you talk about a step-up pressure cooker situation.
Oh, I know.
So he's going to step into the race that there is no promoter, because this Las Vegas is promoted by Formula 1. Yeah.
Plus, the championship is on the line.
Plus the constructors and the drivers. I know it's pretty much a...
What if his first decision is Max sends somebody wide at the first corner like he did last year? Well, then what?
Wow, that would be a really... Welcome to your new job, right?
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, it's just around the streets of Vegas.
Well, and just describe how important this position is as race director.
Oh, it decides everything that happens over the weekend. More importantly, he adjudicates on the judgments of the calls by the stewards and so on and so forth. More importantly, you saw what happened at Brazil and how Verstappen and the 2 Alpines came through. Well, luck or brilliance, it doesn't matter. It's that guy's decision to either bring out a virtual safety car, a safety car, or a red flag. And in Brazil's case, the red flag came out at the perfect time for the top 3, for the 3 of them to move forward.
Well, think back during qualifying, though. Remember Max complaining about the timing of the red flag, too?
Yep.
So, I mean, everything that becomes controversial in an F1 weekend flows right through the race director's desk, right? I mean, everything. He has to make those big decisions. We had Charlie Whiting, and we all, it was such a shame when he passed away. And
Charlie Whiting was like a Pep Guardiola figure.
Yeah.
I mean, there isn't anybody better.
Right. Look, and back in the day, you can find people complaining about the decisions that he made.
Oh, yeah.
But if you go back and look at his career as a whole, he was, amazing, right? And, of course, the controversy that happened at the end of the 2021 season, it was so huge between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton.
Michael Massey.
Massey essentially giving the championship to Max Verstappen.
Yep.
And so, I mean, how much controversy was that? I mean, people still, if you mention F1 race director on a social media platform, that's in the F1 conversations, people go crazy and start, going nuts about that particular
absolutely
decision.
up there.
So this is a huge, huge thing that just kind of popped up out of nowhere this week. Another good story, another really interesting story is that Dan Fallows leaving. Jonathan, I mean, what do you think about that?
Yeah, again, it's
Leaving
another
Aston Martin as technical director.
Yeah, that one. I just wonder if there's too many cooks spoiling the broth.
That is exactly what Chris Medlin said on our Wheel to Wheel show.
Because
too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah, that's what I feel. Because Lawrence has got the money to get the talent, and he's got Newey, but now you've got a lot of people all trying to do the same thing, and obviously all boats rise, as it were. It'll mean Aston Martin are stronger, but only the strong will survive. And I think that Fallows has realised that perhaps he either wants to be a star himself and therefore needs to be the star at a smaller team.
Yep.
Or there is a conflict of interest personality-wise between himself and Lawrence Stroll, or Adrian Newey, or Fernando Alonso.
Cost cap.
Yes,
because you only get one. You get an exemption from the cost cap rule with employees, or with staff, whatever they want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's only one, and you know who's getting that one at Aston Martin. It's Mr. Newey himself.
Oh yeah.
So Fallows could have had a really big fat contract, and they said,
"Do we know where he's going?"
He's going to stay. He's going to stay.
Oh, that's right.
With the team as some sort of role that's be defined. I think
maybe. Well, obviously he's talented. That's why they don't want to lose him. And I maybe I'm wrong on what I first pontificated, because you would, if it was a fallout, you wouldn't keep the guy around because he'd be surplus to requirements, or could be a loose cannon. If he's staying in, then the secrets stay with him, and he's working still towards the almighty green. Because
he worked essentially under or alongside Adrian Newey before.
Yes, that's true.
So. I mean, you can see how this could happen. I mean, it was not a bombshell. It was a big news story, but it wasn't a bombshell, but it was still pretty big. But there's another really big story that dropped this week, and that's this new, what I'm calling a unified car launch. And I don't know if that's official, but essentially that F1 has decided that they are going to, all 10 teams are going to have their liveries launched at one single event, a big event where you can buy tickets. And it's at the Q's, it's called
No, it's the O2 Arena.
O2, that's right.
O2 Arena, and that's one of the biggest in London. That's where the Stones would play. Coldplay play there. That's a huge stadium. I've been there.
And they're talking about it's going to be celebrating the 75th anniversary as well.
As are the Rolex reunion. We're going to be celebrating the 75th year.
Yeah, that's true. I hadn't thought about that. But this big unified launch, I mean, I think I like it. I'm going to miss the 2-week period we have. Like, you wake up every morning and there's new liveries, 2 or 3 teams every morning for 2 weeks. But we'll see how this goes. And
my only question is, this will be a made-for-television event. And as is often the case, you don't actually get the actual car that they're launching. You might get the decals, you might get that, but if they're still working,
get the livery. In theory,
you'll get the livery, but will you get the actual car? I mean, if they've got secrets to hide, they're not going to show them off in O2 Arena.
Exactly, because it's February 18th.
Yeah,
so they're not going to show them off.
What you could do is you could put the old bodywork on whatever you want to hide.
Yeah,
and then put the new decals on, etc., etc. By the way, I want to talk about that too. There's a good story about 2025 and Perez with new sponsors for Red Bull.
Oh yeah, you put that in there. We'll get to that one. It's just to me, it's another way for Formula One to, have an event. It's just like it's kind of the same theory as sprint races and the weekend changes. You just get more excitement more of the time. It's what it reminds me of. I think I said this Wednesday, but. It kind of reminds me of the NFL draft, right?
Yeah.
It becomes a big event.
You could imagine a group of people sitting around a table going, well, look, there's nothing happening in February. Daytona is one event at the end of January. It's kind of dull in the motor racing scenes. We need to make a splash. We need something like the NFL draft or the NBA draft, and that's what they've come up with is, okay, we're only 2 weeks away from launching the cars, or they're going to be sporadically from end of January too. And it always has been a bit of a strange thing where you don't even know who's launching next. And, one minute it's an internet launch, the next it's let's get the Spice Girls on stage and, launch the McLaren. I was at that
That is a great comparison because who was it? RB? They basically phoned it in.
Yeah, basically.
They hired a really cool graphic artist to make a really cool video, and that was their launch.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, come on, guys.
And Ferrari last year did something that very few people do. They launched their car in reality at a test. And Vasseur was quoted as saying, we ain't doing that again. That is so stressful because what if it breaks down? What if it breaks down and the headlines would be ridiculous?
Yeah.
Luckily it didn't.
I didn't realize what a big deal that O2 Arena is. That's a pretty...
Oh, it's huge. I would say it's...
Madison Square Garden kind of?
Yes. It's that kind of big.
I'm trying to think of a comparison.
It's probably not as big as AT&T, but not far off. Did you watch the Tyson fight?
Actually, I tried to.
I did.
You didn't hear about the people like me who tried to watch it and the stream stopped? Yeah, exactly.
Oh, no.
Casey.
Your dial-up didn't work.
I've got Google Fiber, and it was not a local issue. It was a feed issue from Netflix.
Oh, well.
They said 60 million people were trying to stream it?
Oh, man.
You didn't have any trouble?
It broke up a couple of times, yeah, but it came back.
Well, I actually gave up and I said, I'm going to switch off.
It was a bit disappointing that Tyson knocked him down in the first 30 seconds, but hey, hell of a fight.
Oh, dang, I missed it. That, by the way, I predicted that would have been about the only way he could have won.
Yeah,
I was thinking, all right, he's not going to do well at 58 years old.
Couldn't move his feet. Couldn't move his feet. It was a bit sad, to be honest. I tell you what was good though, and I'm a now complete convert. Women's boxing. Oh my word! I have not seen. It was painful to watch. These girls went at each other.
I flipped it back just to see if it was working, and I watched about 30 seconds of that, and then it locked up again. So.
Wow, it was amazing. Amazing.
All right, the other stories in F1. This one is not really breaking news, but it's official. Alpine will take over the supply of Mercedes customer engines that Aston Martin has chosen to terminate at the end of 2025.
But does that lead to another bigger story?
Yeah, which one? There's a couple here. Well, what were you thinking?
Where are those Renault engines going to go?
Yeah, that's a good point.
They say they're shutting up Viry, which is where they make the engines. Enstone is in the UK, which is where Alpine are.
Yep.
And if they're doing a customer engine, what happens to all of that good work? Because there's nothing wrong with the Renault engine. They've won multiple world championships. They're very reliable. They're the only Renault on the engine in the Formula One lineup.
What are you getting at?
I'm getting at that there is IP to be bought there, and we have rumored that Cadillac wants to buy it.
Yeah, that one. Okay. Yeah. Well, to me, it was kind of a shame because, I was thinking back to earlier, a few years ago. In 2014, they not only supplied their own power unit, which was at the time the Lotus team, but they did Toro Rosso, they did Red Bull, and Caterham. I'd forgotten about Caterham. So at one point, they were supplying 4 Formula One teams, and now they're gone in less than 10 years.
Yeah. And
right at 10 years.
And at the height of their game, of course, they were winning multiple world championships with Williams and so on. Just absolutely dominated Formula One, did Renault.
Yeah, that was a huge deal. So almost out of time in this segment, but one quick one. The official investigation into Red Bull over their bib allegations has been cleared. Red Bull has been cleared. So
they will have to wear a bib at all meals. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, they will have to. But
just explain that though. But that's something that came out of Austin, which was the ride height being potentially adjustable, and they've dropped it.
It is adjustable, but they were saying the argument was when they were doing the adjusting, right?
You're right.
There are times when you cannot. You have, during part from A, you can't, and so McLaren and Zach Brown were screaming and yelling, saying, "Hey, they're cheating," but it turns out they've been cleared of that. So.
And so too have McLaren for potentially injecting cool water into their tires to keep them cold.
And I saved the biggest news of Formula One in this segment for the last.
Go on then.
Kit Kat is now the official chocolate
Take a break.
Take a break.
But you know what? That actually,
Yep.
I know it sounds like a silly story, but it's funny that something as worldwide and acceptable and
delicious
too, yeah. But Formula One has got a lot of sponsors, but they're companies like Oracle that you may know nothing about, or Cisco again, and Gulf, which are oils
who are trying to get their product that people don't know about. Well, everybody knows about Kit Kat.
Absolutely. This is like this. What I was going to say is this is potentially like Coca-Cola. I mean, I know that they sponsor McLaren.
I actually do like that comparison. They're not. I mean, it's not the Coca-Cola brand.
And if you try the pair of them, just you take the Kit Kat, you
drop it in.
No, you just one bite of Kit Kat and then a Coke. It's very good.
And then you have a sugar coma shortly thereafter. All right, we're going to take our next break, very short break again, and be back right after these messages.
Give me a break, give me a break, break